So for those of you who saw my video discussing Dressrosa, which you totally should watch if you haven't, link in the description, this video is going to be a little different. The obvious difference being that this video is a lot shorter, the other being that I'm going to structure this video differently as well. Instead of listing out what I liked, disliked, and loved about the arc like I did in that video, I'm just going to broadly talk about certain parts of the arc. The main reason for this change is mostly because this arc is way shorter than Dressrosa, like a quarter of the size. But also because, truth be told, there really wasn't much I disliked about this arc, cause spoilers, I really liked it. But there's a lot more to talk about than just that. Now, for those of you who are newbies to my videos, TLDR, I've been making my way through the One Piece manga, and starting with Dressrosa, I decided to make videos detailing my thoughts on each arc. I use Pirate Warriors 3 footage in the background because I don't know what else to put there, and it's a fun game. Cool? Cool. Anyway, let's talk about Zou now. Now, as I stated earlier, Zou is a much shorter arc than Dressrosa. It's also the first arc in the Yonko saga. Now, if you're like me, and you read the official Viz translation of the manga, your first response to that statement might be, what the heck is a Yonko? The answer to that question is that Yonko is the Japanese title for the 4 pirate emperors, similar to how the Japanese title for the warlords of the sea is Chichibukai. Being the first arc in the Yonko saga, a lot of Zou is spent setting up 2 of the emperors, as well as what's going to transpire over the course of this saga. This gives it a very different feel from the previous Dressrosa arc. Luckily for me, the arc is pretty conveniently split up into 3 parts. The flashbacks detailing what happened to Zou and what Sanji's team did after leaving partway through Dressrosa, the present story about what happened to Luffy's team after the escape from Dressrosa, and the events happening elsewhere outside of the Straw Hats' adventure. So with that said, let's start by talking about the flashback sequences. So, there were 2 different storylines being told through flashbacks during this arc. The first was about Jack's invasion of Zou, the other being what Sanji's team did after leaving for Zou partway through the events of Dressrosa. Let's talk about Jack's invasion first. Jack is the first member of the Pirate Emperor Kaido's crew that's really gotten any spotlight so far, but boy does he make an impression. His Devil Fruit is the second of the ancient subset of Zoan-type Devil Fruits we've seen so far, which is pretty cool. I like that the reason he retreated after fighting the Minks for 5 days was to go save Doflamingo. That's a believable reason for him to leave, and gives the Minks a reason to view Luffy's team as their saviors just as much as Sanji's team, even if it wasn't as directly. It also shows just how integral Doflamingo was to Kaido's plans, so between that and getting to see one of his right hands in action, this has me very excited to see the Straw Hats and their allies go up against Kaido and Wano, but I'll talk more about that a bit later. The other part of the flashbacks was what Sanji's team did after splitting from the rest of the crew midway through the events of Dressrosa. This part of the flashback focuses more on Big Mom, another pirate emperor, and is next to Kaido as the other emperor we know the least about going into this arc. It starts with showing how Sanji's team escaped from the members of Big Mom's pirates that were pursuing them during Dressrosa, which was like the only major Straw Hat action we really see during this arc. Which might be a flaw of the arc to some, but honestly, after the extremely bloated climax of Dressrosa with so much action and so many characters to keep track of, Zou's minimal action was a nice change of pace for me. Anyway, they reached Zou shortly after Jack retreated, and thanks to Chopper's medical skills, they were able to help the Minks. After that, Big Mom's pirates arrive, and this is when the big reveals go down. So Big Mom arranged a marriage between her daughter Pudding and Sanji, who is apparently the 3rd son of the Vinsmoke family, an infamous family of underground mercenaries. After Capone reveals something to Sanji, he agrees to go with them if they spare his crewmates. Sanji then leaves with Big Mom's pirates, which is the main setup for the Whole Cake Island arc, the next major arc in the story. I enjoyed the flashbacks overall, but I really liked the part when Peckhams and Capone arrived. The revelation that there's more to Sanji's past was really cool, and I'm excited to see where this goes moving into the next arc. But for now, let's move on to talk about the present events of the Zou arc and what that sets up. I'll start this part by once again commending Oda for creating yet another incredibly creative island in the New World. The idea of a civilization forming on the back of a giant elephant is so out there, but it works, and the way he fleshes out how that civilization would function is incredibly fascinating. Zou might have been the island we've spent the least amount of time on so far in the New World, but it makes a very strong impression all the same. Also, the Minks might be my new favorite race in the world of One Piece. I love the idea that the leaders of their society is a dog and a cat, but since they don't get along, they have to rule at different times, with Dogstorm being the leader during the day and Cat Viper leading at night. I'm glad the Minks have joined the alliance with the Straw Hats and Heart Pirates to take down Kaido, and I look forward to seeing them again. In Carrot and Pedro's case, that'll be real soon. I decided to talk about that now because a lot of the early parts of the present story of this arc is Luffy's team getting to Zou after escaping Dressrosa, as well as them exploring and learning more about the island of Zou. After that, they are told what happened to Zou and Sanji's team before they got there. Then the Minks meet up with Kinemon and Kanjuro and reveal that they were sheltering the Ninja Raizo. At first, I didn't like that reveal because I didn't understand why the Minks would be so willing to go to war with Jack over this one person. But that feeling went away once they revealed that they were doing it to help the Kazuki family, and that Momonosuke was the heir of that family and the rightful ruler of Wano. A pretty interesting twist. After that, Dogstorm and Cat Viper bring the Straw Hats, Law, and their Wano friends to Raizo's location, and once they are there, they discover a poneglyph. This red poneglyph turns out to be a road poneglyph, which leads to an island. Once all 4 road poneglyphs and their respective islands are found, the location of Raftel, the final island, can be revealed. Now that is a huge discovery! The Straw Hats just found the first of 4 keys needed to reach the final island. The One Piece actually feels attainable. That's actually a pretty surreal feeling, and is the biggest revelation of this arc, bar none. It's also revealed that 2 more Road Poneglyphs locations are known, because both Big Mom and Kaido each have one. After that, Jack comes back to Zou, and Momonosuke discovers he can communicate with the giant elephant Zunisha, and he has Zunisha destroy Jack's fleet. Then, the Straw Hat Heart Samurai Mink Alliance, God I hope I don't ever have to say that whole thing again, split up into groups. Luffy, Nami, Chopper, Brook, Pedro, and eventually the Stowaway Carrot are to have Pekoms lead them to Whole Cake Island in order to retrieve Sanji. Law, his crew, Zoro, Usopp, Robin, Frankie, and their Wano friends minus Momonosuke will go to Wano in order to recruit people to their side in the war against Kaido. Cat Viper goes out to find allies in the Whitebeard Pirates, and Momonosuke and Dogstorm stay on Zou to protect it and to communicate more with Zunisha. These teams pretty much set what's going down for the rest of the saga, but right now I'm most interested in what the Sanji retrieval team is up to, which works out because Whole Cake Island is the next major arc. The only major thing left to talk about is the newspaper which highlights Blackbeard destroying the Revolutionary Army's base, which leads us brilliantly into the last section to talk about being the current events happening in the world outside of the Straw Hats. Towards the beginning and closer to the end of this arc, it's shown what's going on outside of the Straw Hats, and a lot of this seems to be setting up for the next Reverie, which from what I understand happens in between the Whole Cake Island arc and the Wano Country arc. The first thing is the reveal of the newest warlord of the sea, Edward Weevil. Weevil and his mother claim he's the biological son of Whitebeard. Now the legitimacy of that claim seems up for debate, but nevertheless, he's tracking down former Whitebeard pirates in search of his father's treasure. All in all, an interesting development, but not something that has me super excited just yet. What does have me excited, however, is getting to see the base of the Revolutionary Army. Seeing characters like Dragon, Koala, and Sabo again, even if only briefly, was super cool. But what was really interesting was when it's revealed that Burgess followed Sabo and Koala after Dressrosa and ended up at their base. He then gets in contact with his crew, the results of which we see at the end of this arc. Blackbeard and his crew invaded the revolutionary base and left it in a state of ruin. That really got my attention, and I want to know what happened there. After showing the Revolutionary Army's base the first time, we get to see Buggy for the first time post-time skip, and wow, that is definitely not what I expected him to look like. Apparently during the time skip, he became one of the warlords of the sea, which is wild, and I'm really curious how he weaseled his way into a position like that. And finally, closer to the end of the arc, we see a bunch of royals from previous arcs of the story making preparations for the Reverie. Getting to see characters like Shirahoshi, Rebecca and Mensheri, even though we literally just left their island, and even Dalton from Drum Island was great. However, what I really liked, and those of you who saw my last video might know where I'm going with this, is that we finally get to see Vivi post-time skip. That had me really excited because Vivi is one of my favorite characters, and to see what she's like all this time later was great. I'm very excited to get to the Reverie in particular because I really want to A. see these characters again, B. see them interact with each other, and C. see how they act towards the world government after the events that had transpired on their islands that were resolved by pirates, not government officials. Needless to say, I really enjoyed this part of the arc, and I look forward to seeing what happens at the Reverie. So to conclude, I really enjoyed this arc, but to be fair, it is mostly set up for what's to come going forward. How I look back on this arc could very well be impacted by how I feel about the rest of this saga. That being said, it's time for me to dive into the Whole Cake Island arc, and oh boy, it's a biggie. Not as big as Dressrosa, but still a big arc that'll probably take me a bit to get through and make a video about. So if you want to hear more from me in the meantime, you can follow me on Twitter, link in the description. I'll probably end up tweeting about it as I read through, so if you want more of my reactive thoughts before I organize my opinions for a full video, you'll likely find them there. With that said, thanks for watching the video, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe so you'll be notified when my next video comes out. Be sure to let me know in the comments your thoughts on the Zou arc. Anyway, thanks again for checking out the video, and I'll see y'all next time for something a little different.